We're often asked, what is neuroscience coaching? It might be up for debate whether or not it constitutes an official discipline or is simply a term that someone's coined. Either way though, we're always happy to weigh in and explain our perspective about the significance of a neuroscientific-based coaching approach. Coaching is in its own right a standalone, fantastic discipline with a range of models associated with it and a range of definitions too. Leadership development and organisational change thinker Sir John Whitmore defines it in his well-known quote as follows: "Coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximise their own performance. It's helping them to learn rather than teaching them." Internationally renowned neurolinguistic programming pioneer and leadership and change author and consultant Robert Dilts suggests that a coach fulfills many roles, including teaching, mentoring, sponsoring, and awakening. And I love that. There are many definitions of exactly what coaching is, and of course some of them will depend on the context, but most coaches would agree that they fulfill different roles at different times. The fundamental point is that whenever you coach someone, you are actually working with their brain. And this is where it gets exciting for us. Neuroscience is the study of brains, which is why it just makes so much sense for coaches to understand more about how the brain works and then use that knowledge in their work. The art of changing behaviours. The big picture is that neuroscience can help to explain how and why coaching works. From your perspective as a coach, neuroscience is the field that can give you insights into all of the significant things going on within the brain. Some of these insights will underpin the activities and the methods that you're already doing with your clients, but others will help to shape new approaches and tools that you might decide then to adopt. Neuroscience research is continually providing fresh insights that reveal these new and exciting possibilities about the art of changing behaviours. And it also challenges ideologies and strategies, which is vital for holding us all to these higher standards as coaches. In what ways can neuroscience help coaches? Well, when it comes to neuroimaging, the advances in technology have been phenomenal, especially over the past 20 years or so. People can literally be scanned doing specific tasks, which help us understand which are the most active areas of their brains during certain activities, indicated by different levels of oxygen consumption. And just think that this ever-growing knowledge base about the ways in which the brain works could benefit you as a coach. It can translate into a more precise directing of focus, better questions, a more accurate strategy selection for a given client. Your client's internal environment, their emotions and their thoughts are impacted by the chemicals that are going around their body and their brain, and that will shape their behaviours. And this is why we believe that even a basic understanding of some of the neuroscientific insights can really help coaches in their practice. Improving focus. For instance, if your client has elevated cortisol levels over a prolonged period, it will reduce their ability to focus. Removing external distractions creates a better environment for the prefrontal cortex to focus and operate in a more effective and efficient way when it comes to this high-level information processing and decision-making. A lack of focus could be detrimental to your coaching session itself even, and knowing that can guide you in making choices that improve that focus. It might be connected to stress levels, for example. You might choose to change environments. You might introduce mindfulness techniques or spend some time reframing the issue. You may want to consider the techniques that raise oxytocin levels to reduce the cortisol levels, perhaps through listening in an empathetic way, giving focused attention, or even using humour or a dog. If you already have a high level of trust in your relationship, that can trigger the release of oxytocin, reducing the threat response and helping your client to think with more clarity. Goals. Let's take another example of neuroscience coaching in action. It has applications in goal setting too. Goals present an interesting, almost paradoxical challenge. Logically, if something is important to your client and they want to attain it, then it would seemingly make sense that your client, or in fact any of us, because we all have been in this situation, I imagine, makes sense that they would act and behave in a way to make sure that the goal is achieved. And yet we all know that in reality it's far from that simple to do. So in what ways does neuroscience help a coach? Well, in multiple ways. It provides insights into various techniques that can help, including visualizing the goal and the steps needed to get there, conscious and unconscious programming techniques, such as anchoring and nudging and priming and developing helpful habits to actually journey towards the goal. Sustaining the change. Transformative, sustained change is hard to achieve, and it requires developing new circuits in the brain. It's an energy-intensive process. You might have heard the phrase, neurons that fire together wire together, which is paraphrasing a concept introduced by the father of neuropsychology, Donald Hebb, over half a century ago. And it's obviously a fairly simplistic representation of a complex aspect of neuroscience, but as coaches, we should be so excited by having the power to actually influence and shape the structure of the brain. And the more insights that we can garner, the more effectively we can do it. Learning more about neuroscience-empowered coaching. The potential application of neuroscience in coaching is immense, and the skills and the knowledge that it gives to coaches are transformative. Imagine the potential for where all this knowledge can be applied. The information that we have now about the brain and about how people work means that neuroscience-empowered coaching cannot be anything other than a positive step towards a better future. If you would like to learn more about the application of neuroscience in coaching, then an excellent starting point is my recently updated book, Neuroscience for Coaches. But to further develop your knowledge, you might also want to learn more about our synaptic potential certification for coaches. And if you visit neuroscienceforcoaches.com, you can find out more and register your interest in this upcoming program.